you, O Christ, you are the way. Glory to you. Give you a new commandment. Love one another as I have loved you. Glory to you, O Christ. You are the Word of God.
May Christ be with you. A reading from the Good News according to John.
Glory to you, O Christ.
It was before the feast of Passover, and Jesus realized that the hour had come for him to pass from this world to Abba God. He had always loved his own in this world, but now he showed how perfect this love was. The devil had already convinced Judas Iscariot, begot of Simon, to betray Jesus. So during supper, Jesus, knowing that God had put all things into his own hands, and that he had come from God and was returning to God, rose from the table, took off his clothes, and wrapped a towel around his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with the towel that was around his waist. When Jesus came to Simon Peter, Peter said, "Rabbi, you are not going to wash my feet, are you?" Jesus answered, "You do not realize what I am doing right now, but later you will understand." Peter replied, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "If I do not wash you, you have no part with me." Simon Peter said to Jesus, "Then, Rabbi, not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus said, "Anyone who has taken a bath is clean all over and only need to wash their feet. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For Jesus knew who was to betray him. That is why he said, "Not all of you are clean." After washing their feet, Jesus put his clothes back on and returned to the table. He said to them, "Do you understand what I've done for you? You call me teacher and sovereign, and rightly so, for so I am. If I, your teacher and sovereign, have washed your feet, you should wash each other's feet. I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you." This is the good news of Christ our wisdom.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Well, since my bishop has blessed me with the opportunities to be the homilist for every Holy Thursday, I think since I committed to be a deacon, even before I was ordained a deacon, I have to admit that that worried me. How will I ever come up with something new for my homilies? I didn't want to see the rolling of everybody's eyes as I started my Holy Thursday homilies. So didn't know what I was going to do. But I didn't want to complain because I know priests have, for years after year after year, had to do homilies with the same readings. So when I brought these thoughts to my prayer, I realized that my being a homilist on Holy Thursday has resulted in a much deeper appreciation of what really happened that holy night. Jesus's actions and requests on that night just kept swirling in my head. Actually, everything he did that night, it is so full of stuff. So it hit me that those actions and requests not only resonated with the followers that were in that upper room, but still resonate throughout the world today after more than 2,000 years. So before I go into those actions and requests, I found a lovely story that I want to relate to you. I never heard about it in the past, but it demonstrates one man's thoughts regarding the importance of the Eucharist and his willingness to bring faith and science together. Mike Hopkins is a trained astronaut who converted to Catholicism after his marriage to a Catholic woman and their decision to raise their children in the Catholic Church. Mike says one of the most dangerous activities we do as astronauts are extravehicular activities or spacewalks. He says, I have gone out the door of the International Space Station 5 times, spending 32 hours outside in the vacuum of space. He leans on the words in Joshua chapter 1, verse 9, which say, I hereby command you, be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened or dismayed, for your God is with you wherever you go. And Mike believes that included beyond the ends of the earth. So, because of that belief, he received permission from the Archdiocese of Galveston, Houston, and help from his pastor to transport the sacred hosts with him for daily consumption while he was in space. He was comforted by that daily ritual and trusted that no matter what happened over the next hours, his brother Jesus was with him. He stored the Eucharist in a pyx in a pocket close to his heart. That story, of course, brings us to the institution of the sacrament of the Eucharist on this holy night so long ago. I love that, unlike many other Christian communities, we receive the Eucharist every Sunday. And if we wish, and it was available with more priests in our ECC, we could receive it on a daily basis. It's a constant reminder to me of God's love for me and serves as a renewal of the belief that God's spark is within me. That love and spark supply the courage, generosity, patience, and whatever else I need as I walk through the journey of life. So as I said, Jesus combined so many things into this gathering because he knew his time was short. He shows us the importance of community by gathering his followers around him and eating bread and drinking wine, which he taught and we believe is so much more than food and drink. And here we are today, carrying out the ritual of the Eucharist. And I'm proud to say, offering it to all who believe in Jesus the Christ, so that everyone can be renewed and know, as Mike did, that Jesus is present with them wherever they go. The second action performed that fateful Thursday night is to establish the priesthood. And I don't think I've ever mentioned that much on Holy Thursday. While John does not write about it in his gospel, Paul, in our second reading, cites Jesus's words, do this in remembrance of me. The request Jesus made of his closest followers was to now spread God's name and Jesus's way of life throughout the lands and celebrate Eucharist. I so appreciate those individuals who said yes in our day, namely Bishop Ketta and John, and of course, Father David, who isn't here. That you go forth in the footsteps of the apostles and continue this sacrifice in perpetuity, and it will go on long before us. I also find it hard to express my joy that our ecumenical Catholic communion says yes to all genders and sexual identities who feel called to the priesthood. Thirdly, and importantly to me as a deacon and all of us, Jesus felt it imperative to not only talk about servanthood to those in that upper room, but also to demonstrate it. He stripped himself of his clothes, put a towel around his waist, knelt before each one of his followers and washed and dried their feet. As we know, that was a job given only to the lowliest of the slaves, but Jesus, the Son of God, did this with humility. This night also whispers, maybe sometimes yell, a call to us, as I have done for you, so you also should do. We are invited to imitate this love that serves not out of obligation, but because we have been so loved. It is important to remember that whatever gifts we use to serve others have come from God, and God is always happy that we are putting those gifts to good use. In our world today, full of competition, who's the best, the richest, the smartest, it seems that humility often takes a back row seat. But our world today gives us so many broad and seemingly big, as well as personal and seemingly small opportunities to serve one another, to fight Christian nationalism, just to give a smile to someone passing by, to fight illegal deportations of our siblings, to give some food to someone on our street, to demand that everyone be treated with dignity and respect, to donate to a favorite charity, to show our disapproval of the government telling us what our schools from kindergarten to establishments of higher education should teach. So let us ask ourselves the following questions when thinking about this first night of the Easter Triduum. Do you realize what Jesus has done for you? What are some ways you can wash your neighbor's feet or hands, so to speak? Are there degrees of service to your neighbor? How high would you place putting up with your neighbor? How about laying down your life? In other words, who are you willing to serve and to what extent?